Todd, if you want to film your motorcycle ride like a pro, you just have to remember the first step is making sure the camera is actually recording. Just ask me how I know. Our goal at Best Motorcycle Roads is to make your next motorcycle trip the best it can be. For today's bottom line, the best camera is really the one you have in your hand and you remember to take a picture with.
No, that's right.
I mean, and you know, we do that so many times when we're stopping, we want to take a picture. I just forget. I don't know if my butt hurts so much that I just want to get off or what. But
Yeah, I forget as well. And I do it whether it's a family trip or whether it's a gathering at work. I just forget to take pictures.
half the crowd
It's
is
so
left
simple.
before you
Yeah,
remember, right?
yeah.
So today we're just going to talk about capturing your ride with camera, video, pictures, and things like that. And I think the biggest problem is, as I always say, is like the movie industry problem, right? Every time you think of, hey, we should capture our trip, and then it's going to be like, oh, like some big, helicopter, perfectly framed sound, professional motorcycle video. I think of when Tom Cruise rides his motorcycle off the ramp, the edge of the cliff. Pretty soon he's parachuting. We should be able to do that, and it just that's not reality.
No, it's not reality.
Footage is crappy. The lens is covered in bugs. All you get is a wind noise and the microphone. I mean, yeah. So it's so much harder than it looks. And the other pet peeve I always have is almost all the cameras that are on most of these bikes are somewhat of a wide angle lens, right? So then it's like, if you're 1 foot away, it looks like perfect, right? But then it seems like 10 foot away, and then you feel as like you're 1 mile off. And even when we're trying to capture like our ride, it's like, it's
Our group, yeah.
it looks like they're 2 miles down the road.
Yeah.
I think that dot right there is Todd, so I'm not sure. So I think just getting, firstly, just the reality versus, you're dreaming the dream. So really there's kind of like, I don't know, over the years we've done a lot, but I mean, there's kind of like 3 different types of options that I've kind of thought of, and then plus the phone, right? So you've got on bike, which is kind of what I call the permanent mount. Always on, turn the bike on. Video recording usually starts in the front and the back.
And you've done this on more than one bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've tried this quite a
And
few
now
times.
recently they've just come out with some 4K as well, which is nice because like up until now you really didn't have a nice camera option. It was a 1080p in the front, 720 in the back. Now, is that great? Everybody wants 4K all the time, but I'll also say like it eats up cards like crazy, right? So, and then you got to make sure you buy the cards that you need to record at these speeds are expensive because you need that fast.
It's got
speed.
a fast write speed. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So you've got the on-bike cameras, which I like because they're simple, they're easy. You turn the bike on, things start recording. You turn the bike off, it stops. You don't have to worry about it. Once you get it mounted, it's kind of set it and forget it. The second one, or you can they're really the same thing. They're action cameras, right? Like, so it's GoPro or Insta360s. Really, those are the two. I mean, you can get generic versions of all these, but that's really what it comes down to. GoPro is kind of that square box. Insta's now kind of that tube camera. A lot of times you'll see these where they look like the video is kind of floating because they have the selfie stick or the stick that attaches to it, and somehow they edit that out in the viewing. So those are the two kind of things there. And then just kind of, I called it the underrated MVP of motorcycles is your phone. Super easy, convenient way to capture essence of a ride. Now, granted, most of the time you're not recording that while you're riding. So, yeah, I mean, thoughts or questions about any of that, Todd? I mean, it really comes down to how you're going to mount and where you can kind of get everything mounted to.
Yeah, and in all the times that you've mounted your on-bike cameras and use those to record, do you find that they are smooth enough, or do you have to use some sort of digital technique to smooth the video?
The front is usually pretty good, and the back is not as good based on where you mount it. Generally, I end up mounting the back cam on the saddlebag, and everybody's saddlebag has some
Bounce
give in
a
it.
little bit, yeah.
I'm on the Goldwing now, and I put that extension kit on it, so it's 4 inches back further, which is even more back there, I guess you'd say, or more
Further
vibration.
back, yeah.
So you really see the vibration on that now.
It's like the back seat of the bus.
Exactly,
Yeah, it's jiggling all
exactly.
the time,
Like
yeah.
what? You're way back behind the
Behind
axle.
the back, yeah, behind the
And
axle.
so you can do some of that in the editing. I should say allegedly, because I haven't actually done that yet. But what usually happens is you have to kind of crop it and then what it does is kind of locks into a spot, and then it like moves the frame around,
I
so
see.
it locks it. So you can do it. I would be really interested in looking at these 4K cameras because that is a great. Usually, it's a pretty good shot. I think the hardest part is two-part. One, a lot of times you kind of want it sent. What I like to do a lot of times is make sure I get part of the bike in the scene because I think it's just a more interesting look. I just sometimes it's like this could be on the front of your car, it could be on the front of anything. I always like to have just a little bit of
just to show that it's on
just
the
kinda say it's on
motorcycle.
a bike, you know. And then, but yeah, I'd be really interested to see how these 4K works. Some of my favorite pictures I've ever taken though is also with the GoPro, and I'm kind of a fan of the Insta360s too, but it's kind of like I'm already in the GoPro game, you know. It's like you hate to kind of scrap everything and start over.
Yeah.
But some of my best pictures that I still use a lot are ones where I have on the either mounted on the handlebar or on the Goldwing. I found a way to mount on the mirror, and that's like a rear-facing cam.
Oh yeah.
Kind of, you know. I remember this one picture when we were riding through French Lick. It was a great picture that I had. You know, and it's me, and then the sign says French Lick, and it's just a cool. It's just a really cool picture, and that's kind of. We'll talk about this too, but just kind of one of the tricks that I've used to save. This was before I had a permanent mounted like power. But what I've thought of, and again, we can talk about the editing later, but you can set those to shoot like every 30 seconds. And that's kind of ends up being a nice, usually there's a whole bunch of nice pictures in there. And then you can play those back as a video almost like
I was just going to ask if you can do a
haven't done that
time
yet.
lapse.
We'll talk about this later, but
okay.
you know, we'll talk about some of the problems.
And is 30 seconds often enough?
Arbitrary, you know.
Yeah.
Depends on what exactly you're looking for, right? You can go 10. I mean, the problem with like every second is you're pretty much
taking a movie at that point.
So many pictures.
Yeah.
You know, then you got to convert it into a video, and then you know, I don't know. We'll talk about that at the end more, but yeah. So I think the angles are interesting. I think where you take the picture. I always like to get a badge of the bike or something in the picture. You know, when we were recording stuff since Best Motorcycle Road started, I've actually got some with logos, the Best Motorcycle Roads logo and stuff in it, which I think would for two reasons. One, it pisses me off when people use crappy stock picture footage, you know, in some of these channels, and people like them because a ton of people look at those videos. But I just think we always have tried to be authentic, right? Like, and so we're not going to do anything that it wasn't our stuff.
Yeah.
And so again, that's fine. It's up to them. I mean, I think people are just fishing for YouTube viewers, which is fine. I mean, we'd love to have more too, but I'd like to do it like authentically. And so I feel like if we can figure out a way to continue to like have those logos in our picture, then at least it's like, yeah, this isn't playing around.
Yeah, and hopefully that keeps people who steal other people's videos and add them to their own.
I'm sure
videos.
they found a way to figure that out.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, so yeah, so I think I really do love when people are like kind of that long run with the 360 camera is a really cool view though. Like it's very fisheye, but other than that, it's cool.
Yeah. Well, and I like when they kind of put it behind them and you see their
see
helmet, their handlebars,
and
everything in front of them. It's quite a neat shot.
And there's some pretty good. It doesn't take too much. They're pretty small, so you can clamp them in spots, and they have a pretty good grip, so it doesn't like shimmy too much. So yeah. So that's kind of the options. We've been shooting with the on bike. We've been shooting with the GoPro, and then try our best every time we stop to take pictures. Like I always try to, once we get kind of parked at like a gas stop, I'll try to make sure we're usually parked close together, and then I'll at least try to get a picture of the bikes with like maybe the sign of the place, so you can kind of remember where the heck you were at when you took it.
Yeah. And I think with your phone, the good thing there is it will GPS mark your photos, right?
Yep. And then like if you're using a Google, like the Google mapping part, sometimes it'll actually put them on the pictures
along
for
the
you
map, yeah.
as you kind of look at the timeline. So
yeah.
But that brings up when you're stopping, it brings up a good point of checking the lenses, and you really have to get into this habit. And I can tell you, like, it sucks because I really tried to do it every time. Is clean off the lenses because you're bound and determined to get a bug. And it happens. I mean, I usually just use like a microfiber cloth and maybe just some cleaner, just a little dampness to get that off. I mean, I know Turk has rode. He was out west and rode back. Beautiful, like riding a beautiful sunset and everything. And no kidding, like it was like his 5th mile or 10 minutes in, he hit a grasshopper and just wasted the. So you see, like almost see it all, but it's just hammered.
Big splat. In the
You know,
front,
and it's so frustrating. I mean, I think. But,
Is there anything that can be done, like you can put some sort of a wind deflector that goes across the front of the lens to blow,
I've
keep the
thought
bugs
about
away? Or,
this. Like, I've been working my ideas on this to like build the camera mount, maybe that would do that. Put like a little fairing almost in front. I think
Yeah.
it would help, but we'll have to see. I have a lot of wishes, dreams, and
I know you have a
ambitions, Todd.
3D printer too. It feels like you could
I
print.
think you could. I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be really good to make a base that you could like put a GoPro in that would have like almost a wind deflector,
Yeah.
like a wing on it that would hopefully just direct air over it, at least minimize the amount of bugs. Because it seems like these lenses are bug magnets.
Yeah.
Like you should see the back side of the cameras, and I'm pointing backwards sometimes. Just the screen, the video screen that you see, just pelted. It's like freaking 3 by 2 inches. Like, how in the world did that get so many bugs on it? But you're hanging it out the side, you know, outside in the wind where everything's at. So
I had a pickup truck that had a cap on over the bed, and somebody had put it was like this when I bought it, but they put a deflector at the very top that took wind and blew it straight down across.
Yeah.
So when rain would hit, it would just like blow right off. So I was kind of picturing something like
that's
that.
what I'm thinking.
You could blow down
Yeah.
across the front of the lens, and
I think you might, depending on how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, and then there's some people that do mount them on the helmets. And the only thing that I know that I've seen some online videos where people have gotten in trouble for that. It looks like in California is the only place that it's illegal to have something mounted on your helmet that extends more than 5 millimeters, which is not very far.
oh really?
And I was thinking, man, the communicators would probably stick out more than 5 millimeters. Now, maybe they've done this math, and maybe it's just 5 millimeters, I'm guessing.
I see.
But yeah, they don't want that on there. You know, the kind of legal part of it is, well, if you get in a wreck, then it could ram into you or something. So,
Oh, okay.
so that's kind of that's the thing. So you just got to be careful where you're riding. I do when I watch the videos, when people have it, especially hanging up the chin, it's not a bad look.
Yeah, it's a pretty good
depending
look.
on what your fairing situation looks like. But yeah.
Yeah.
We touched on this a little bit ago, but memory cards and power, just batteries, you know, like, I mean, so many times, like a lot of people just use the batteries. And that's where when you're shooting video, it doesn't take 60 minutes and you'd be out on video.
Your battery would
easy.
be dead. Oh yeah.
You know, so I've hardwired I've hardwired power to the bike before, and you can get like a USB powered, you know, connect to the battery kind of thing. And then I've just ran a cord all the way up and then plugged the camera in. If you look on the sites, a lot of them you'll have, like especially on GoPro, they have a waterproof pass-through that you can pass a cable through a waterproof piece so that you can ride in the rain. But what I will tell you is some of the newer GoPro, and I think the Insta has this too, it'll lock the horizon in, so you can actually have the camera upside down and it'll still take the picture the correct way for you.
Yeah.
So what I found was my favorite camera position was like way out, cranked kind of like at like if the corner or at the top of the camera was at about 2 o'clock. Well, what I did figure out eventually was like there must just be a micro like space between where the battery is and the and stuff, because I've noticed in long drives the battery must be able to just disconnect for like a microsecond, because I have seen,
slip away from the contact points.
yeah.
Oh
like
my
it
gosh.
must be just really, really like tolerance must be really tight. So you do have to be careful that I've found if you keep the battery pointing up, you're better off. Like if the battery is level or pointed up. It was only when I was using it like where it was pointing down that I had the problem. But that horizon leveler thing is amazing. The camera is jacked in 6 ways from Sunday, and it still takes a great picture.
Did that start with the 12?
It was, yeah. I think it was on the 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though.
It feels like you should be able to stuff a little bit of something in there to take up that gap so
and maybe
it can't
it's
move.
because I have that extra like power, you know, that aftermarket battery pass through on there.
Yeah.
But that's great because then you never run out of battery. You know, most of the cameras now you can look at your phone and kind of get your angles all figured out and stuff.
No, I was shocked when you showed me that the camera was sitting, you know, it was a 45-degree angle, and yet it looked perfectly. Yeah, horizon was
and
flat.
you just sit there and spin it, and it's
Yeah,
like,
it didn't.
my brain does not compute. But
Yeah.
And then as far as memory cards go, we talked about making sure you have this fast reads, you know, fast write. But also what I've kind of found especially sometimes, when we take a 5-day trip, I try to just get a card for every day almost. I just number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That way, it's just, you don't have to think too much, especially when you're talking about the on-bike camera, because it's just like, other than that, you got to download it all to bring a computer. It's just a little easier than worrying about it. And usually, one-ish day on a camera card.
Well, and that
depends on the resolution.
I love that idea, because then you're not, having to download those pictures every day, clearing the card to put it back in for the next day.
And that's a forget thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is, it takes a long time to download all that video.
It does.
Like, it can take a couple hours. And, when we were out in Seattle, Turk and I ended up ordering from Amazon while we were out there a speed reading USB-C. Just that sped things up a lot, because I just had like a docking station kind of thing that had a card slot.
Yeah.
That was a huge difference, but still it took a long time, because you're talking about many gigs.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah.
But the C, they probably have the docking
It's
station
faster.
for the C's. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have a 3.0
Right.
that's fast, but
Right.
the C would be even faster,
Right,
wouldn't it?
right.
Yeah.
So, and then kind of this audio capture has been kind of the bane of my existence, honestly. Like, so excited when they
How do you capture what?
audio.
Oh, audio.
Yeah,
Audio.
when they came out with the Sena Mesh Red, I was so excited because it was all kind of mesh in with our current audio stuff.
Yeah.
I've never got it to work. I know that they technically don't connect to the GoPro, and so I don't know. Like, it's kind of frustrating. It's like a $200 turd that we have right now that doesn't really work that well, because the the audio on the cameras is pretty bad. You have to have something different, and there's other options, but it's really neat if we can just capture all the talking, because I think that's the one thing we've missed so far, which I'd love to have.
Yeah, our
just some of the
conversations.
conversations. Yeah,
And are there firmware updates that possibly can
I've
help
done
you with that?
that.
You've tried,
They've,
okay.
I need to spend more time. They wanted me to connect it to not the GoPro, to my phone, and see if that would record it. Is it just the GoPro? Is it? But it just doesn't seem to.
Well, if anyone out there has experience with the Sena Mesh Red,
I've watched
called?
YouTube videos too. So if you ever had problems, I'd love to see if you fixed them.
Yeah, how did you fix it?
When they're working, it seems to be working fine. When it's not at all. So, yeah, I mean, we did for one time, and I haven't even pulled it all off because it's so hard to synchronize back up. We did take one extra unit that we had, plug that in, and there is an audio speaker out on a lot of those units, and we ran it into an audio recorder. So I think that there is probably a way to kind of use a USB-C and then pump audio back, or video back, or audio back into the camera while it's recording. But again, now we're getting back into the do we have to have a person following us? It gets to be where
complex.
you're trying to just do the ride and have fun, and get this recording, So I wanted to throw something in here about camera security, because that's the thing. All the mounts and everything you get are pretty much simple and not secure, so you got to be careful. I mean, these cameras are getting to be $300, $400, $500, and you don't want to just let them sit there and get stolen. Everybody loves a nice GoPro, so you've got detachable versus permanent setups here. When do you take it off the bike? Are you in a place that overnight is better to take them off? Sometimes at night we're covering the bike, so a lot of times I think that's a little bit safety. But Ram does have some security mounts that kind of have keys that can lock the handles in. But with a lot of things, if people want them there, to take them.
They're going to take them.
You got to just be kind of do your best.
Yeah.
I think mostly just remember at night to bring them in. You're going to want to charge them up anyway. But yeah. And then the thing we failed at mostly, because we haven't actually created an actual video of all this stuff, I probably have. It's over 200 hours, I'm sure, of which we have never edited down to an actual video. So, So post-ride editing, I mean, how do you sort through all this footage? Someday it'd be nice to maybe just have somebody else do that for us. How do you, then you can cut it down to the best moments. We've looked at editing software and monkeyed around, but then we also, some of the shots from the GoPro is in 4, and it'll actually record 5K. And I think both of us found that our computers would barely even hold, it wouldn't even edit it.
My computer starts to stutter.
It's old.
It's an older computer, so it just starts to stutter, and I can't really edit 4K video.
Right.
Yeah.
And so even the video I've taken that's on the bike that's not 4K, it's just 2K. it's just overwhelming. So
Yeah.
it's just hard. So we haven't actually edited a single video yet, but that's some of the stuff. I mean, that's some of the most interesting content I think on when you're looking at ride videos, what people are doing them.
Yeah.
I give them props because editing video is hard and takes time.
It takes time. That's the thing. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah. So I guess at the end of the day, the best camera setup is the one that you'll actually use. I mean, we'd love to hear what people have been using, what for both cameras, editing. How do you get all that done in time? Maybe I'm just being a whiny baby and
No, I don't think so. I think our ultimate is to not only shoot video, even if it was single camera, it would be fine, but we want to capture the audio of our conversations. And,
I think that would be the most interesting part of this.
yeah, and what we're looking at and what we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is a section we call the Toolkit. We share motorcycle gear, gear review, and other riding tips.
So in the toolkit today, we can try to walk down some of these. We've got the GoPros. We'll put the Insta360s kind of in the notes. I think those are ones people talk about. We do bring a drone a lot of times, but again, like now we're getting off. Now instead of like enjoying yourself, resting your butt, getting some drink, now it's like, where do you fly the drone? When do you stop? On bike cameras, we'll put some options in there. There's kind of a new Innov K5. That's that 4K we talked about. I think Kenwood had one too. I didn't get great reviews, so we'll put some links to those. We'll throw around some mounting options. I think you can go everything from the literal stick-on GoPro mounts to bolt-on to ram mounts to handlebars to fairing tank mount, crash guard. Mounts. We've used kind of all, and then even like a lot of guys that run like off-road dual sport stuff put a chest. There's a chest mount.
Oh, I've seen that one. Yeah,
that's a cool look too. Especially they don't have a lot of fairings a lot of times. So
yeah,
the options are really unlimited. We talked about some power solutions, extra batteries. So you can buy like a 3-pack of batteries for a GoPro, or I think on the Insta too, and then like a charger for those, so you can kind of have those in the trunk somewhere charging. So when you stop, you can flip those out. I really like the hardwired USBs. That's been nice. And then even power banks at times. I've used that a lot for our communicators. Just running a wire up from a...
Oh, that's a great idea.
It works good now.
Yeah.
We know that those are a little bit sketchy in these in-helmet communicators. Don't allow you to charge and ride. That would be one thing that would prevent me from getting an in-helmet like integrated unit.
Integrated, yeah.
Because I mean, almost every long ride we go on, I've ran out of battery at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
We've done good sometimes about charging in between, but
yep. And I think my Senna 50s are old enough that I'm
That's
only getting a couple hours worth of communication on mine, and then the battery goes dead.
It starts to go.
And it starts giving me the beep,
which is not a horrible thing if you got a couple of them, but then when you're riding two up, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
So. We talked about the audios. I'll put some links into the Mesh Red. Voice over the effect is always something that I think is be good in the editing. That was my idea: is edit video, then come back over and just say, "Here's where we were. This was cool." I think that'd be a great video. I think there's a lot of those on the internet that work well. So, and then we can throw some of the quick release mounts and anti-theft locks out there, as well as some of the high-speed micro cards. Those are expensive. For the GoPros, I was using gigabyte cards. They're not cheap.
Yeah,
they're pushing 150, I think.
Oh wow!
But you need those high speed, and you want the.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh.
You want it large enough to hold all of the 4K video.
I think like those GoPro clips, and I can't remember how long they are. Every clip, and then it starts a new video. I think those are like 10 meg, or excuse me, 10 gig.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you think about the editing. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. I mean, I think the day we get this ironed out, it'll be a really good day for us. It'll be exciting.
Maybe there'll be some AI video software that can edit it up for us.
There will be, I think, and the hardest part is just getting it somehow. I think, and then we have 3 or 4 cameras. So trying to,
sync them up and blend them.
That'll be a beautiful day. So, well, if you like the podcast today, please like and subscribe. Sign up for our BMR Rider Alerts. It's our way of keeping you in the loop, and we promise no spam.
Keep the spirit of adventure alive, and remember, bikes, friends, and endless roads, the stories ride forever. Take care.